Hello nerds! We are gathered once again for all of the news that's worth listening to. In this week's episode, we have the Black Dahlia murder has finally set a date for the long-anticipated new record. We have Nintendo Direct has dropped. We're definitely going to be talking about that. Dan DiDio is coming back to DC Comics. Kind of. Genndy Tartakovsky is coming back to Adult Swim to bless us with new animation. We have an actual Blade movie update that's kind of bad, but also kind of good. And Wonder Woman gets canceled. All of that and honestly a bunch more, so let's jump into it. In the music section, we have the update on the Black Dahlia record, their first since losing vocalist Trevor Sturnad. We have Corey Taylor thinks that Corey Taylor might be getting old. We have Mushroomhead announcing new music and some drama behind the scenes there. And we've got some other stuff to talk about. So let's do the music news. In music news this week, we have no follow-ups or corrections. We do have some new music to talk about. And first up on that list is the first instance of Mushroomhead in today's episode. Mushroomhead has dropped a new track, Fall in Line. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with these guys. We're going to get into that in the regular news section for music. But specifically talking about this song as it pertains to the new music section, I mean, if you like the Waylon era of Mushroomhead, if you like Save Your Sorrow, Beautiful Songs for Ugly Children, I think he was even on The Righteous and the Butterfly, then this is going to be familiar ground. It's a little bit more aggressive than we're used to from that era of Mushroomhead, but this is not technically that era of Mushroomhead. It's just reminiscent thereof. Not my favorite stuff for Mushroomhead, but still Mushroomhead, so I kind of dig it. This is a mild recommend. It is good, though, to see Gravy return to the fold, and you can definitely see him showcased in this video. Next up is the first of two times we're going to be talking about the Black Dahlia murder for this episode. This is their new track, Aftermath. This is the first new track with their new vocalist, former guitar player Brian Eschbach, and he really leans into it. I feel like obviously it's not Trevor, so it's not the same vocals that we're used to hearing from Black Dahlia, but it is pretty close. Like, he's doing a pretty decent job of whatever you can do to approximate the awesome vocals that Trevor had. The video kind of doesn't really leave a whole lot to talk about, but the song itself, I mean, instrumentally, you're still getting the crazy, I don't even know how to describe, like, the blackened tech, aggressive, all of the things that Black Dahlia are, they still are that. Instrumentally. Vocally, this is gonna take a little bit of getting used to, I think. Still a recommend, though. Next up, we have a new band called 7 Hours After Violet. If you pay attention to the anagram there, that's S-H-A-V. There was an O at the end at one point in this because this is Shavo from System of a Down's new band. The name of the song is Paradise, and they have two vocalists. Shavo, they're getting into the heavy really, really hard. And like, there's definitely shades of System of a Down in here, but really not what you're expecting. Like, if you listen to Surge's solo stuff and you listen to Darren's solo stuff, because those two are the only ones who have solo stuff up until this point, as far as metal is concerned anyway, then you kind of see their contributions to System of a Down. And those are like, they wear those on their sleeve. They're there. The Shavo contributions, though, as far as the parallels to this 7 Hours After Violet, is a little bit more subtle and a lot more interesting. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Definitely go check this one out, especially if you like very aggressive music. Then we have the most recent All That Remains single has been released. It's called Let You Go. Of course, we gotta sing Jason Richardson's praise. Jason Richardson is a bit of a treasure, a national treasure at that. but I don't know that this song is quite as strong as Divine. Probably why they led with Divine, because that song is a banger, to say the least. This one, though, I don't know. This kind of falls into all of the things that are the reason why I didn't really get into All That Remains to begin with, to a much lesser degree, because I can still get into this track. It's just not quite as solid as Divine. Still a pretty hearty recommend, though. And for our last piece of new music this week, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to get out of the metal. We're going to get into some 90s techno, apparently. Fatboy Slim is putting out new music. His most recent single is called Role Model. You can find links to all of these down in the description. If you are into some dance music, if you like the EBM, if you will, then this is going to be exactly what you're looking for. I don't know that Fatboy Slim has ever put out bad music, and this is just continuing with that streak of really great, danceable, even just chill music. You don't even have to get up and move, though you're gonna want to. This is totally something you could listen to while like studying or doing research, it would seem. So yeah, absolutely recommend Fatboy Slim. I don't know that I would ever not. Once again, all links for those videos are down in the description, so you can go check them out for yourself, form your own opinion, then come back here and tell me how wrong I am. But let's move now into tours and festivals. We have one big tour that has been announced since we spoke last, and that is GWAR. GWAR has announced that they are going on a new tour because they are the hardest working Scumdogs on the earth. They're headed back out on tour or continuing the tour. It's kind of hard to tell with these guys because they're so perpetually on tour. This time they're going out with Dark Funeral, Squid Pisser, and Cancer Bats. The name of this tour is The Stoned Age. It starts October 17th in Las Vegas, Nevada, runs through November 20th in Nashville, Tennessee. Tickets will be on sale this Friday. Pre-sale goes up today as you're watching this. Actually, no, yes, today as you're watching this. So go check it out. I don't have a link for pre-sales, so you're gonna have to go to GWAR's website and hope that you can find a link, the pre-sale password or whatever. So yeah, go check it out. That's gonna be awesome because GWAR is great. So let's move right along. Let's get into some regular ass news now, shall we? To start things off in regular ass news, we have Corey Taylor, Slipknot frontman, formerly of Stone Sour as well, and he's out on tour right now on his solo record, his second solo record, CMFT 2, and it's not going as well as had hoped, the tour, I would say, because he's had to cancel the last two shows. They're both festival shows. It was Nova Rock in Austria and then Rock for People in the Czech Republic. After he canceled that second one, the Rock for People gig, he posted to his social media and he said, quote, "To my friends in Austria, due to ongoing sickness, I will be canceling my performance at Nova Rock Festival on Thursday, June 13th. I am deeply sorry to have to cancel another performance, but my priority remains keeping our band and crew healthy while doing everything I can to rest and heal. I hope to see I hope to see my Austrian friends again very soon when I can give them the performance they deserve." So apparently he's come down with some sort of sickness and can't go out. He at least gave them, I believe, it was about 24 hours notice, which is better than some, because I've definitely been at the door of the venue when the band has announced they're too sick to perform before. It's not a good time. So yeah, at least there was that. But I don't know, we've been hearing a lot more about Corey Taylor's behind-the-scenes antics recently. I say antics because it makes it sound a lot more cool than just him aging. But yeah, that's kind of what this feels like. This kind of feels like he's used to going on tour 300 days out of the year, and as he gets pushing into his 60s almost, like he's definitely mid-50s at this point, and just can't really perform at that level anymore. His body is starting to break down, it sounds like, and just getting old, man. So you can't really hold that against him necessarily, though I feel like you should probably take the clue from his body and just schedule accordingly from now on so this doesn't happen again in the future. But again, can't really fault the guy because you can't anticipate this kind of stuff. until you're in the middle of it. So from there, let's talk about the Black Dahlia murder. Black Dahlia murder has finally given us some information for their next record, which will be, again, the first record with new vocalist, where did his name go? Brian Eschbach. I have to read it because I can't remember the Eschbach. Since we lost, again, Trevor Sternad a few years ago, this is going to be their first record without Trevor. The release date is September 27th. It is going to be via Metal Blade Records, and it is going to be titled Servitude. They released the first track. We talked about it in the new music section. It's good. I don't know if it's quite to the level of what we were expecting from Black Dahlia Murder, but that's probably just transitional adjustments to be made inside my own ears. Hopefully the next single kind of hooks me in a little bit better, or just the record when it launches. All right, so our final piece of regular-ass news for this episode is a little bit twofold. First off, it is Mushroomhead has announced a new record to go along with their new single that they just released. The new record is going to be called Call the Devil. It will be out sometime this year. I was unable to find an exact release date. A couple of really cool things going on behind the scenes. Well, one really cool thing going on behind the scenes is that Gravy, Dave Felton, Skinny's brother. So Skinny is the drummer on the records now, it would seem, because this is all changed. There's a whole lot of drama going on. So let's talk about the new record real quick. New record going to be out this year. First single, it's great. I can totally see what they are trying to do here, and I believe that it will be okay. I don't know that it's going to be great, but it's going to be at least okay. Gravy's back. Gravy, I've actually met Gravy, had beers with the dude. He's a really cool cat. And we have, all right, so let's get into the drama real quick. Also announced within the last couple of weeks, I didn't see the date because it was kind of secondary to the drama associated with Mushroomhead these days. Also announced rather recently, we'll say, is another Mushroomhead project titled Jeffrey Nothing's Mushroomhead. So this is kind of, what is it, Priest? This is kind of a Priest situation. We have KK Downing's Priest, and then we have the actual Judas Priest, and they're not the same, even though they kind of perform some of the same material. That's kind of happening with Mushroomhead now. Jeffrey Nothing is starting Jeffrey Nothing's Mushroomhead, and Jeffrey himself is signed to Suburban Noise Records as a solo artist. So the Mushroomhead project is not signed to a record label yet, but it does have the support of other former vocalist Waylon Rivas. So Waylon was the guy who replaced J-Man when J-Man left the first time. Apparently J-Man left since the last record, so he's not going to be on this new record. So J-Man's out of Mushroomhead again. And we have Rick Thomas, there we go. Rick Thomas, Stitch, the one-time keyboard and samplist, has also quit Mushroomhead. So now he's just doing Ventana. And so much rearranging is going on. So Skinny, again, Felton, the other Felton, I can't think of his name right now. It's in the notes, isn't it? Somewhere, yes, please. Gravy, Skinny, nope, not there. Anyway, Gravy's brother Skinny, who is founding member, Gravy founding member, Skinny founding member, Jeffrey Nothing founding member, J-Man founding member. I'm pretty sure, no, Rick came in once they put out the Eclipse XX. I think that was when he came in, is when they recorded XX the first time. So he's not founding member, but he's been there for a long damn time. And so it's kind of noteworthy that he left. Actually got to interview Stitch. Hopefully I can find a way to link that somewhere here, because I don't do well with the cards. But yes, we have just all this drama. Support definitely from Waylon for the Jeffrey Nothing Mushroomhead record. Plus, I saw one outlet which didn't really have much in the way of detail, just a passing reference to the fact that J-Man also is apparently doing something in support of Jeffrey Nothing's Mushroomhead. And we have Tommy Church, who was once a guitar player in Mushroomhead for about 2 record cycles. He's going to be doing something with Jeffrey Nothing's Mushroomhead. So this really feels like a family at war. And I'm kind of sitting back with the popcorn going, who's going to win? Because I'm kind of down for both sides. I can understand that Skinny's probably very difficult to work with, which is why there are so many riffs, but like, some of the guys have made it work. Was it Dr. F, I think, is the current bass player, one of the primary songwriters these days. He's the one that's stuck around the longest of the modern era of Mushroomhead. And also, I was going to say, since Rick left, since Stitch left, Skinny is going from drums as far as live is concerned, because he's still recording the studio drums. But as far as the live performance is concerned, Skinny's going to be doing samples, and they have a different drummer on the kit for the live performances. So it's just this weird, like, going crazy, whatever. So yeah, that's Mushroomhead right now. New record out soon. When we do hear more about the Jeffrey Nothing project, we will talk about it. When we get more singles from the proper Mushroomhead project, we will talk about that as well. So let's continue on. That kind of brings us to the end of the section, except for music suggestion for the week. We're gonna feed into the drama, and that is Mushroomhead's XX recordings. So there are two different versions of this record. I strongly suggest the Eclipse version of this record, not the, I think it was Universal was who they re-released it through. Don't listen to that one if you can avoid it, because not only did they cut out the secret song, but they remixed. They didn't really re-record much. They did re-record a couple of other tracks from previous records, but that's kind of a different situation. They remixed the record, so some of the vocals, of a good chunk of the vocals, especially if you're listening to the Mann vocals, sound like he's singing in the shower. Whereas the Eclipse version of this record is kind of fantastic all over the place. So yeah, if you can help it, listen to the Eclipse record. There are, like I said, 3 extra tracks on the label version of this record, which are good, but again, J-Man's vocals kind of sound like he's singing in the shower, so can't really recommend that. But that is your suggestion of the week, Mushroomhead's X. This week in gaming and tech, we have the Nintendo Direct for June dropped. We're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. Plus, Metallica are in the gaming section for some reason, as well as Batman Arkham Shadow dropped its first trailer. So there's a little bit to unpack there, plus a little bit more. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's kick things off with follow-ups and corrections. Following up with the Fallout situation, we have a little bit of an update as far as remakes and things are concerned with Fallout and Bethesda. Specifically, the first 2 Fallout games, we have heard explicitly that they are not on track to remake those games at all. The reason that was given, and I'm going to paraphrase this poorly, but the reason that as I understand it, that was given is because it would take a lot to quote-unquote modernize them because they exist in a time unto themselves, is something akin to what was said. Basically, they view them as problematic, and they don't want to take the time to fix what they find problematic with the stories from those games, or the issues that arise as far as modern social politics are concerned. Is kind of the subtext that I was reading into that, though there's also the fact that they didn't make Fallouts 1 and 2, they purchased, I believe they absorbed Interplay, and that's how they got the rights to do Fallout, or maybe they bought the rights, I can't remember. But either way, they got them from Interplay somehow, and they didn't do the first 2 games. They started with Fallout 3 and went from there. So that's also very probably a big factor, is that that's not really their stuff. They didn't pick it up until later in the franchise. So some combination of those 2 things, I would imagine, are the key factors there. All right, so moving on follow-ups, we have a little bit of a Mortal Kombat follow-up and a little bit more since my notes, because I generally end doing the notes section the night before and then try and get to recording and editing and stuff today, and then the video goes up tomorrow. But either way, so Final Kombat happened, the Super Bowl of Mortal Kombat, if you will, every year. And Sonic Fox won. That's kind of not super surprising. What is fairly surprising as far as the community around Mortal Kombat is concerned is kind of multifold. So the first of which, specifically dealing with Sonic Fox, is that Sonic Fox was being blamed because of weird conspiracy reasons, but was being blamed for the Cyrax situation that I'm pretty sure we talked about on the channel, where Cyrax got unbuffed, or unnerfed rather, which is kind of a buff, but really he just went back to day one patch. So because Sonic Fox was such a proponent for this, and because Sonic Fox is kind of the most well-known NRS pro player, like, it was then theorized that he was the reason for this de-nerfing, if you will. But he won Final Combat without using Cyrax at all, so that kind of kills that. But we did see something else during Final Combat, and that was Peacemaker and Johnny Cage, as well as Kano and Chameleon, respectively. So I started watching at the top 8 just because I'm a grown-ass man. Sometimes I just don't have the time to watch all the Mortal Kombat gaming that I want to, because I'm trying to play as much as I can, as well as, you know, run the YouTube channel and such. But I only watched the top 8 bracket. And it started off with a little bit more diversity, emphasis on little bit, because we got a Shao Kahn and I think a Katana. But by the time we were into the final, I don't know, 6, everybody was some variation of Peacemaker and Kano, or Johnny Cage and Chameleon, with little to no variance from that. So this kind of elucidates a different problem with the game. I mean, I love the game. I've always loved the game. Since it launched back in '92, I've been a little bit of a fan. So this comes from a place of love when I say that something dramatic needs to happen with this game in order for it to live out its planned life cycle. There is just way too much broken gameplay wise that we're not even going to touch on the story because that's a whole video unto itself. But gameplay wise, something needs to happen, and not just a bunch of nerfs. You can't nerf your way into making this a playable game at this point. We need to see new combo strings, a lot of new combo strings for a large majority of the roster in order to make them all, as the real MK Tom Brady says, make them all pull their own weight. You need to, I absolutely agree with what he had to say in that you need to make each character whole and then have the cameo system be a +1, have the cameo system be extra on top of it. It shouldn't be necessary for these characters to feel playable. The characters should feel playable, and the cameo should make it better, not equal, not even rather. So yeah, there needs to be a lot done to this, because we do have, and I think I heard him say it in his video, but I'm going to emphasize it a little bit more than he did. We have 3 characters in this game that are fully fleshed out characters, and one of them is a guest character, and that's Peacemaker. And then, so we got Peacemaker, Johnny Cage, and Ermac is the third one. I didn't see a whole lot of Ermac at Final Combat. I'm sure there were a bunch in the pools and stuff, but as you get down to the wire, you need to go for the most fleshed out, and the guys who have been around for the longest, and that's kind of Johnny Cage and Peacemaker. I would not be surprised to see that a lot more Ermac in pro competition going forward. There is another pro competition this coming weekend. I can't remember the name of the tournament, but there is Mortal Kombat featured there as well. So we hopefully will see more than just Peacemaker and Johnny Cage. And we then got, this morning as I'm filming, we got a new patch for Mortal Kombat 1, and this new patch nerfs cameos. It brings Cyrax back down to where he was pre this last patch, and then it nerfed Homelander a little bit because he did have a little bit of a broken infinite situation if he got just right in the corner. So they fixed that. They fixed a couple of buggy move issues with Homelander that kind of made him really difficult to fight, and then I fought Homelander this morning and it was much easier. And there were a couple of, but the big things are Cyrax, they nerfed Chameleon, and they nerfed I don't remember. There's patch notes somewhere. I'll try and get them down the notes. Either way, again, I'm going to reiterate, nerfing things into oblivion is not what's going to fix the game. We need more gameplay elements added. We need more combo strings added to the other characters so they can do more than just one big bread and butter combo. I have effectively 2 bread and butter combos with my Scorpion. Scorpion's my main. That just doesn't play well with others as far as my brain is concerned when I'm trying to pick up other characters when they launch. So having only one big combo and then one combo that I can do if I'm in a very rare situation, then it makes it a little less exciting to play Mortal Kombat. I'm still addicted, so I still play all the damn time, but I'm kind of an exception to the rule. If I were a casual player, I would have quit long time ago. So yeah, I'm just spending way too much time on a follow-up here, but yeah, that's kind of what's going on there. Well, let's move on. Next up, we have the Metallica situation that we were talking about. Fortnite is doing some rhythm-based stuff, it would seem, and they're doing it with Metallica. So the name of the new game mode is Battle Stage. It's a team up with Metallica to promote this. They are going to be featured in the game, and very little has been released about the actual gameplay in this mode. It does seem like it is going to be rhythm-based, which would make sense because you're effectively on a stage playing music at other people to battle them, and it is PvP, so player versus player. That's, I mean, Fortnite, so yeah, that makes sense. And that's all we got. That's all we really know about this. So if we get a little bit more before it launches, I did not see a launch date, at least not that I put in the notes, but there is a link to the trailer for this down in the description as well, so go check that out and see if you can make heads or tails of what exactly is going to go on there, and we'll talk about that in the comment section if we need to. But that's all we got for follow-ups and corrections. Let's move now into trailers. We have I take that back. We have 2 trailers this week for gaming. First one is the big one, and that is Batman Arkham Shadow. We now know that there is going to be a different villain for this. It is still set in the Arkham world. It is just the world that was previously established in the other 4 games, which I don't know if you really want to count Arkham Origins, but it technically is the same. So this is going to exist there. Our new villain for this game, though, is the Rat King, and we have a voice actor situation here that might work. I don't know. If it's the same dude who's doing the voice in the trailer, there are enough similarities to Conroy's Batman that I might not be pulled out of the game. Though, I don't have a MetaQuest 3, so I can't play the game, but I am going to watch a lot of Let's Plays, so that's what we got there. Go check out that trailer. It looks pretty cool. And then we have the other one that kind of took me a little bit by surprise with the detail, and that is A Quiet Place Road Ahead. I believe we talked about this game when it was originally announced to be in development. We now have a trailer for it, a little bit of gameplay in this trailer that really has me excited to give it a shot. Links, as always, to all these trailers can be found down in the video description, so go check that out. If you're on the audio portion, then it's going to be there too, but it might be a little bit more difficult to get to where the link is taking you. So go check out the video. From there, though, let's get into some regular ass news for gaming and tech. And of course, we're talking about the Nintendo Direct. It just kept, just like every Nintendo Direct, it's been a while since I've actually watched one when it was airing or just had aired. But it's what I remember, and it's game after game after game after game after game. So the thing generally, though, with Nintendo Direct is, do I care about this game and this game and this game and this game? And it kind of, yeah, this time almost all of the games were like, I'm super excited to be playing that. That's going to be a hell of a lot of fun to play too. So is that. Oh my God, I have to buy that as soon as it launches. That's out today. Yeah, there's a whole lot of that going on, especially once we got to the end of the Nintendo Direct, but we'll get to that. So games that are noteworthy that were announced. We have another Mario platforming game announced for the Switch. This one is Mario and Luigi Brothership, which is a little bit of a silly phrase, but whatever. It will be out. Oh, no release date for that one just yet. The other one the next one rather that I thought was cool was Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. So it's championship. Let me find my words real quick. All right, so back when the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES as the kids are wanted to call it, back when the NES was the console on the market, there was a cartridge that was released that was the Nintendo World Championship cartridge. It is what they used for pro gaming at the time. And there's a whole lot of videos about it on the YouTubes. Go watch those. You get a lot more detail about it. But the long and the short of it is, it's not full instances of the games involved. It's just select levels. Some of them are special levels just for the World Championship cartridge. So fast forward now to 2024, and we have the Nintendo World Championship NES Edition coming on the digital side of the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but you're going to be able to play online, and that's kind of freaking awesome. So you can do head-to-head, and they have different head-to-head modes. Go check out the trailer. Go just watch the Nintendo Direct, honestly, but if you don't want to, that's why we go over the notes. 150 speedrunning challenges across 13 games. This one is launching July 18th, so you have about a month. Pre-orders are open currently. So there were a few games in between there and here, but we're going now to the Among Us trailer portion, I guess, of the Nintendo Direct. There are 3 new imposter roles. I'm not an Among Us player, so I don't know exactly how those are going to factor in, but sounded pretty cool, so that's definitely worth your time. That is live now, currently, as we are talking, so if you're an Among Us fan, go download it, please. Then we have Farmiga. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that correctly. This one looks like another Pokemon ripoff. That's why we're talking about just, it's different in key instances, but the broad strokes, much like Pal World, although Pal World, you can get a little more granular and it still looks a lot like Pokemon, but the broad strokes of this feel very much like Pokemon, but there's a couple of gameplay elements that they change up to differentiate it from that game that I think are super interesting. Like, you take all of your animals and you can put them together and they create one large animal, so it like makes sense to have multiples of a certain, it looks pretty dang cool. Go check that one out as well. That one launches November 1st if you're interested. The next big one I was excited for was Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. So this is the Wii game getting remade in high definition, which, yes, please and thank you. Just, there's not a whole lot of bad that could come from that. And then on top of the full Wii game, you also are getting a couple of levels that are from the 3DS version of the Wii game that was, all kinds of extra goodness. And it doesn't stop there. That one is January 16th of 2025. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. We've talked about this previously. The big thing here is we have the release date, and that is November 14th. The next one was Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Release date on that one is June 27th, so we have a week before the next Luigi Mansion. Metal Slug Reloaded is one that I was super stoked to see. I'm sorry, Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. It is going to be the RPG. It's a roguelike RPG. I'm sorry, not RPG. Defense game. It is a tower defense and done in Metal Slug style, so it's going to be all kinds of arcade fun. It is going to be online. It launched already. You can go download that one now if you've got the Ruples. The next one is, where is it? Darkest Dungeon 2, roguelike RPG with turn-based combat. That one looks like a lot of fun. That's a trailer you should actively go seek out. July 15th is the release date there. Classic titles. This was one that also kind of got me super stoked. We have Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past 4 Swords, which you can play online multiplayer, which is going to be fantastic. We also have Metroid Zero Mission, which and then Turok Dinosaur Hunter and Perfect Dark. Those 2 games, I might be getting the NSO service just so I can play those games, and then all of the like old school Nintendo games that I grew up on. So yeah, that definitely is the kind of thing that I really like to see in these Nintendo Directs. From there, we're going to move over, skip a couple things, and go to Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. This looks bonkers. It's going to include X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which it's almost an arcade accurate port. The only things that aren't arcade accurate are the playable characters. They're adding to the playable characters, because previously you had to have the ROM, and then you had to hack the ROM in order to play, I believe it was Magneto and Juggernaut in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and they're just making them playable. And then Cyber Akuma in one of the other games in this collection, I didn't even know that was a thing because I haven't played all these games in so long, and I'd never really played them into any sort of depth. I just, oh look, X-Men and Street Fighter, I'm down, or Marvel and Capcom, I'm totally down. So yeah, just the incredible amount of depth. Go watch Maximilian Dude's, his reaction to this game, because he goes into much finer detail with all of the awesome that is going to be happening with this fighting collection. From there we have Super Mario Party Jamboree. Looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So I used to play this with my little sister on the Nintendo 64. She thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. They're including some of that Nintendo 64 action in this Jamboree game. I'm super excited. Yeah, just go check it. If you're a Mario Party fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This looks like it is going to be the biggest Mario Party ever. And I mean, who could blame them? From there we have a new Legend of Zelda game. This one I think we're going to have to spend a little bit of time on, because it's not a continuation. We already knew that we weren't going to be returning to the version of Hyrule that we got in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because they told us very explicitly that that story had come to its conclusion. So we were kind of anticipating maybe seeing something other than the Link to the Past 4 Swords game. We're looking, maybe we're going to get a remake, maybe there's going to be some other thing going on with The Legend of Zelda. I don't know that anybody was fully expecting a brand new full-fledged game. Also, I don't know that anybody was expecting a brand new full-fledged game that is top-down and not open world. That's pretty crazy too. And then, on top of it, they're also including brand new gameplay mechanics, much like they did in Tears of the Kingdom. Only it's a different gameplay mechanic. It's not the same. You don't have the hand. You can't fuse things together. But there's, I mean, you kind of can. It's just a different way to do it. And that is a trailer you must absolutely sit back and analyze, because just watching it isn't going to be satisfactory enough. You have to watch it, you have to watch it twice, and then you have to watch it frame by frame just to see all of the greatness that's going on there. Yeah, the release date on that one is September 26th. They're also going to be releasing, much like they did, there was a Zelda-themed Switch OLED Switch, I think it was. Now they're doing a Zelda-themed Switch Lite when this one launches, so that's pretty cool. Lego Horizon Adventures. This one kind of took me by surprise as well, because Horizon is a Sony property. It even says at the beginning of the trailer that it is brought to you from Sony Studios or something along those lines. So there's a Sony name drop at the beginning of this, because they have to get their credit, because this is their property coming to a Nintendo console. That's pretty crazy. Granted, it is via the Lego architecture, so it's not exactly the Horizon game, but it's going to be the same game on the PlayStation 5, and it's not coming to the Xbox, as far as I've seen anyway. So, I mean, that's fairly freaking noteworthy. So I might actually get to play Horizon game, because yeah, that I have a Switch. I don't have a PlayStation 5. That's coming out this holiday season, so no direct date, but you know, sometime late October, early November seems reasonable. From there we have Stray. This is the other one I got super excited for. I mean, I got super excited for all of these, right? Stray, though, I've wanted to play this game since it launched. It was a PlayStation exclusive. It's now coming to the Nintendo Switch, also coming to Steam, I believe, or it's already on Steam, I can't remember. But my computer sucks as far as gaming is concerned. I can barely edit these videos, but I got a Switch. So that's going to be one that we get. Also launches this holiday season. Again, probably end of October, sometime beginning November, the very latest Black Friday. From there, we have Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. It's going to include the 2 Miles Edgeworth games with new visuals and classic sprites. That one launches September 6th. We have a couple of things from there that weren't as noteworthy as Metroid Prime 4 finally has a trailer. We know what it's going to look like, and we kinda know when it's gonna launch, sometime 2025, but still we have a trailer we can sit back and watch and analyze and look at every frame and go crazy for. Yeah, but it looks really good. I don't know how much of what we got in this trailer is actually going to find its way into the actual game, or if this was just put together for the trailer. Either way, yes, please, and thank you. That, though, is where the Nintendo Direct ended, so that's where we're going to end talking about the Nintendo Direct, because this is a lot of stuff. From there, we're still in gaming and tech, so we got a little bit of tech to talk about, and a little bit on the software side of tech. That is Adobe. Adobe is being sued by the FTC. The United States Federal Trade Commission is suing Adobe over anti-consumer practices. So the long and the short of it is, Adobe is very hard to cancel. Previously, the FTC has also sued Amazon for a very similar practice, in that it's very hard to cancel, it was at least, very hard to cancel your Amazon subscription. Now, they're going after Adobe because it's very hard to cancel your Adobe subscription. And once you finally do, one of two things might happen. There's three potential outcomes. The good one is you actually cancel your subscription, you don't have to pay them anymore. Or you might not actually cancel your subscription, even though somehow they've led you to believe that you've canceled your subscription, and then you see that they're still taking money out months later, and you go, wait a minute, that's supposed to have been canceled, and you have to go all through it all over again. Or option number C is a lot worse, because you actually get to cancel your subscription, but you still owe them for a program that you cannot use anymore. What I mean by that is, if you are in your first year of service with Adobe Cloud, if you have, this is the first time you've used Adobe, you've never paid them before, then the plan you signed up for, even if you're, especially rather, if you're paying month to month and not a yearly payment, but if your month to month plan, which is like $60 US, then you have actually signed up for a year commitment at that month to month price, which is very shady in and of itself. So that, because you have signed up for a year commitment, if you cancel before that year is up, you take however deep you are into that year. So a year is 12 months. Let's say you cancel it 6 months in, and I think it's sitting right now at $650 if you do the annual. So I think it's like $725 or something like that if you do the month to month. So we'll say $700. So if you cancel at month 6 of your first year of service with Adobe, then you owe them 50% of what's left. So effectively a quarter of what's left. So at month 6, you cancel. You've already paid them, what do we say, $700. So we're looking at $350. You've paid them $350. You then technically owe them $175, because that would be 50% of what's left in your year contract that you didn't know you signed, and was not explicitly laid out for you until you try to cancel your service. And that's why they're being sued. Hopefully this snowballs and we get a little bit more leniency, we get a little bit more plan options, we get the option to pay them once, not get any more updates, just use the program in that instance, if you will, to add to perpetuity, and not have to worry about paying them $650 freaking dollars a year in order to have access to the thing that I've already paid you $1,200 for. Sorry, a little close to home, this one. But yeah, so that's what's going on. The FTC is suing the Adobe people. So we'll be keeping tabs on that one. That is, though, what we have for regularized news this week, which leaves only our suggestions for gaming and tech. Our gaming suggestion is what it's going to be. It's going to be Batman Arkham Asylum, the game that started it all. Well, actually, if you wanted to go to the game that started it all, we could be talking about, what was that, Spider-Man on the Nintendo 64, I believe? Either way, Batman Arkham Asylum, that is absolutely one of my favorite games to have come out in the last 20 freaking years. And I'm not alone in this. This is regarded by many, many people as one of the most classic beat-em-up games out there. So do yourself a favor, find a way to play it, and put in some Batman Arkham Asylum action and see where all of this crazy Batman, and then see why everybody's going nuts about the fact that they're trying to still make these games. That is your suggestion for gaming this week. That brings us into comic books. We have Dan DiDio is gracing DC with his presence once again. Nah, kinda. We have a new Lobo book has been announced, as well as the death of Plastic Man. So yeah, let's go talk about these things, shall we? So, first things first, right here. Sorry, I lost my notes. We have no follow-ups, no corrections, no trailers to talk about. Comic books, man, they come in waves. Either it's a lot of stuff or we go months and months without hearing everything. We go through a drought. But we're kind of coming up on another drought situation, it would seem. The first thing, though, we have Dan DiDio is going to be in a anthology book that is actually an anthology consisting of small stories that were from other arcs that didn't really make it into publication previously, and now they're making it into publication. So they already had the rights. Dan DiDio isn't doing anything new for DC. He is happy doing his thing. I forget where he is these days, but he's not working for DC directly. But he's going to be in this new book. It's called I Know What You Did Last Crisis. It is coming out October 2nd. It is, again, going to feature a number of different stories that have been untold, so unpublished, from their individual arcs. So a lot of the arcs on the DC side of things are crises, and so that kind of explains the title. Yeah, that's what we got there. So let's move on. We have Lobo is our next one. Lobo has a new one-shot book, which is, again, James Gunn very possibly feeding into rumors, because we have a lot of rumors saying that Lobo's getting a movie, or is actually going to be in a movie, is going to be played by Jason Momoa. We've talked about these rumors. Lobo's getting a one-shot book called The Lobo Cancellation Special, which is very appropriate. Book will be on shelves September 25th. Again, very, very convenient considering all of the rumors circulating. And then our final piece of news in gaming, or in comic books and books rather, is Plastic Man. DC has announced that they're going to be killing off Plastic Man, at least it would seem, which I don't know that Plastic Man has a very large following, so does anybody really care? Maybe. I mean, it looks like, if you look at the pages that they've released so far, it looks very intriguing. But I've never read a Plastic Man book, so I can't necessarily be the best judge of that. So let's go through it's going to be called Plastic Man No More. It's written by Christopher Cantwell, illustrated by Alex Linz, set for release September 4th. The story explores the potential death of Plastic Man and his plastic cells begin to decay following an accident. I can read, I promise. Following an accident during a Justice League mission, the series delves into themes of body horror, legacy, personal redemption, and reflecting on Plastic Man's criminal past and his relationships. So again, sounds intriguing. I've just personally never been into Plastic Man, so I don't know. Somebody else who is into Plastic Man, maybe you can leave a comment and let me know why I should read this book. But that's, like I said, the last piece of news for comic books and books. That leaves us only our suggestion for the week. We have a novel suggestion. It is not a comic book this week. Your suggestion this week is Dune, House Atreides, one of the prequel books. So prequel meaning it's written by Brian Herbert, not Frank Herbert, and Kevin J. Anderson. Kevin J. Anderson, it seems, did most of the heavy lifting from what I am to understand of these prequel books, but this is the first of the prequel books. This gives you the tone for what you can expect for the things that go on in this expanded Dune universe, and also can give you a little bit of an idea, because if I'm remembering this correctly, and I could be drawing from garbage, but if I'm remembering this correctly, Brian and Kevin both are being consulted on the new Dune movies and TV show. So kind of give you an idea of the flavor of the direction they're going to be going with that stuff as well. So kind of very influential, this book. That's why it's your suggestion this week. Go read Dune, House Atreides, and get a little bit more Dune in your life. This week in TV news, we have an update on the Yellowstone situation, finally. We have Blue Beetle TV show has been announced, and Genndy Tartakovsky is blessing us with more TV animation awesomeness. And we got a little bit more to talk about, so let's jump into it. Follow-ups and corrections. Let's get into these, shall we? I don't think we have any corrections. We do have follow-ups, though. First up is House of the Dragon has officially been renewed for a third season. kind of expected this. We have episode 1 of season 2 out on Max right now, so go watch that. And that's what we got on that one. Next up, we have Suicide Squad Isekai. Finally also has a release date. The release date for this one, first 3 episodes are going to be dropping June 27th on Max and Hulu. Same day, same date. And then once a week on Tuesdays when you're going to be getting new episodes of the Suicide Squad anime. And it will be finishing, the final episode will release on August 15th. So that's pretty freaking awesome there. Continuing the follow-ups, we have Yellowstone finally. Yellowstone, we have a little bit of a release window for the final half of the final season, which is 2 years postponed at this point. So the second half of season 5 is due this November. It will be without Kevin Costner because reasons. I got nothing for you. From there, though, we have AMC on Netflix. This is interesting. Continuing the conversation of streamers don't make money, we now have AMC licensing out their properties to be on Netflix. These properties are noteworthy. They include Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, Fear the Walking Dead, and Preacher. So very soon, it didn't have an exact date, I don't believe. Yeah, they're still working out the details of the situation, but these shows are headed to Netflix very soon, if not next month, then probably the month following. And this has happened before on Netflix, so don't expect them to stay on the platform. They'll probably be there for a very limited amount of time. So if you haven't watched them, and you really should, because they're all good stuff. And the list is a little bit longer, but those are kind of the big nerdy ones that were noteworthy. So go check out the list. Go watch these shows when they are up on Netflix, because again, they are freaking awesome. That's what we got there for follow-ups and corrections. Let's talk about some regular ass news for the week. First up is the Blue Beetle situation. Apparently there is an animated series in the works for the Blue Beetle franchise that is going to be a continuation of the Zolo Mordueña movie that we just got last year that was very mediocre. I like what they did with Jaime. I just don't really like a lot of the stuff that around Jaime, specifically the family characters, because they were all garbage. But Jaime was awesome because Jaime's always awesome. Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent. So new animated series in the works. We have Miguel Puga will be the showrunner, and you'll know his name if you follow the credits on Futurama, the Looney Tunes show, Fairly Odd Parents. His list of nerdy credits is actually quite a bit longer than that, but those were kind of the biggest ones. We also have Angel Manuel Soto, who directed the movie, and Garth Dunnett Alcocer, I think is how that's said. My apologies for my stupid tongue. He was the writer for the movie. Those two guys are going to be attached to this project as executive producers. Now, it is no secret there is a little bit of turmoil behind the scenes as far as the Blue Beetle situation is concerned around the live action. So, will Zolo Mordueña be returning to voice the character in the animation? That is still up in the air. But if we go on what James Gunn has said in the past, he has said that the actors playing them in live action will also be the actors who voice them in animation, because these characters are going to be consistent throughout all mediums, save for maybe comic books. But yes, consistent throughout all motion mediums. So that would lend us to believe that they're trying to get Zolo to come in and do the voice, but if he doesn't sign a new contract, then they got to find somebody else, right? So that is where we're at with the Blue Beetle. Next up, we have a one that I'm kind of interested to see because of its ties to my other profession as a chef. Anthony Bourdain had a comic book called Get Jiro, maybe, because it's Asian, so it's not a soft J. Don't know exactly how the name is pronounced, but Jiro. It is now being turned into an animated series over on Adult Swim. It's based on, again, Anthony Bourdain's comic book with Joel Rose, and it's going to be it's in development from Brian Gatewood and Alessandro Tanaka. The story is futuristic LA where master chefs dominate and people kill for top dining spots. The plot follows Hiro, a sushi master navigating a violent culinary world to seek revenge. No release date has been provided as of yet. So that's pretty freaking cool. because Anthony Bourdain was an amazing human being, and you should watch all of his food shows because they're not just about food, they're about life, and it's beautiful, and watch it. From there though, we have Genndy Tartakovsky is coming back. You should know that name. If you are a fan of art, if you are a nerd who watches animated things on Adult Swim, if you just generally like samurai related things or dinosaur related things, then this is a name you know, or Star Wars related things, and this is a name you know because this is the guy that was behind Samurai Jack. This is the guy that's behind Primal. This is the guy that was behind the first animated Clone Wars series of shorts. He also did Dexter's Laboratory, I found out fairly recently. I don't know why I didn't know that before, but I didn't know that before. So, also awesome. But he has a new show coming to Adult Swim. It's called Heist Safari. It's going to be 10 episodes, so very likely it's going to be a completed story in those 10 episodes. It will follow 3 estranged frog brothers who must pull off a bank heist to inherit their father's fortune. Complications arise as they seek help from a Japanese Yakuza tiger, a Russian mafia hippo, and an Italian guerrilla mobster. With wildebeest police in pursuit, the show will feature episodes told out of order with an EDM soundtrack. So the soundtrack is going to be a lot of dance music. It's going to be very anachronistic, probably in the same vein of Samurai Jack. If you watch Samurai Jack, it seems like this is going to have a very similar feel to that, though very different subject matter. So yeah, Genndy Tartakovsky is always a win. Let's move on. From there, that's actually all we have for regular ass news. That brings us into suggestions for the week. Assuming you watched The Boys last week, because, I mean, why wouldn't you? This week's suggestion is House of the Dragon. If you have not watched season 1, absolutely catch up. The best way is to watch all of the episodes and not watch the recap that they give you at the beginning of season 2, but if you must, then watch the recap. But absolutely, first episode of House of the Dragon season 2 does not disappoint, though it still feels like it's a lighter version of Game of Thrones. Just saying. Either way, that is your suggestion for the week. All right, nerds, let's be honest. We all have a caffeine addiction. Well, maybe not all of us, but a large number of us have a bit of a caffeine addiction. We like to drink the energy drinks. It helps with the gaming, it helps with the focus for those of us with the ADHD, and it just kind of generally keeps us pepped up while we're, doing the things we need to do, i.e. work, etc., etc. So, with the price of energy drinks kind of going through the roof, I literally was at the gas station just the other day, and some of my favorite energy drinks, I haven't really purchased them for a while, but some of my favorite energy drinks were over $4 a can. And the reason I haven't purchased them for a while, A, is because they're getting more expensive, but B, because we have a channel partnership. It's not really a sponsorship, it's a partnership. So I get a little bit of a kickback if you buy stuff by following the link down in the description. But Dubby has been doing a lot as far as my pocketbook is concerned, but also as far as the quality of caffeine that I'm consuming while drinking my energy drinks. Because Dubby is an energy drink, but it's a little bit more than just caffeine. I say a little bit more, but let's go through some of these other ingredients besides the caffeine. Also of note about the caffeine, though, before we get into the other things, is that the caffeine is not synthesized caffeine. So it's a little bit slower to absorb, so it lasts a little bit longer, which also means you don't have as much of a crash. The caffeine comes from coffee fruit extract, so that is an actual source of caffeine. It's not synthesized caffeine, which is the better way to get caffeine. You don't want synthesized if you can avoid it. But we have L-taurine, L-tyrosine, L-glutamate, the L-citrulline. All of these things are nootropics. They help your brain with function. The caffeine helps, especially again if you have the ADHD. Stimulants help you with focus, but also these other vitamins in here are what's going to help you a little bit more with focus and things of that nature. Now, it is not meant to diagnose or treat any sort of situation. This is not medical advice because I am not a doctor. The guys who make the drinks are not doctors either, but these things have been shown to help with that kind of stuff. Do your own research. talk to your personal physician if you have any questions along those lines, or, you know, just generally speaking, if you have any health concerns. It's probably something that you should take upon yourself. But this is one of the better money options as well, because the average that this breaks down to is approximately $1.30 or so per drink that you mix with the powder. So compare that to $4 roughly for a can of the other stuff, and you see pretty quickly how much money you can save by drinking this versus that. I did just order my second tub, so we will be doing a little bit more of a dedicated video for that. But until then, if you follow the link down in the description, you use the code GenerallyNerdy at checkout, you will get 10% off of your entire purchase. They did also just roll out cans. Something to note though on the cans, they're not quite as cheap as the tubs because it's not the powder, they're pre-made obviously, but they are still a little bit cheaper than that $4 price tag. Approximately $3 a can if you buy the cans, and I'm pretty excited about the cans, I'm not gonna lie, I just haven't bought any yet, so I don't know what they taste like. Either way, Dubby partnered with the channel. Thank you very much, Dubby. Go check out Dubby for yourself, and until then, let's get back to the show, shall we, nerds? Let's get into the movies, shall we? This week in movies, we have, This week in movies, we have an actual Blade movie update, which may not be all good, but some of it's good. We also have Watchmen movie trailer because we got that animated Watchmen movie coming out soon, plus a cult classic movie from the 80s is getting remade, and I'm kind of here for it. Let's talk about that. Follow-ups and corrections. We have follow-up on the Blade situation. We lost another director. So we do have a new writer though. New writer is confirmed to be Eric Pearson. Eric Pearson, you'll know that name from Black Widow, Thor Ragnarok, Agent Carter. Also wrote Thunderbolts and co-wrote the Fantastic Four movie that's going to be coming out soon. So that's good, but we lost another director. So hopefully we'll have a director to talk about next week when it comes to Blade, because apparently we can't go a week without talking about Blade right now. The other thing here that's also pretty good is Mahershala Ali's lawyer has gone on record and said this will be a movie that happens eventually. So there's not going to be, they haven't really committed to when it's going to be coming out, because Mahershala Ali just signed on to do the new Jurassic World reboot situation. So there's going to be some time before we see Blade, but we do have reassurance from people around him who have legal authority to make such reassurances that it will happen. So that's pretty exciting. That is our one follow-up this week. We have one trailer as well. The Watchmen chapters 1 and 2 got a trailer. It is an animated movie, just like we talked about when it was originally announced, but I don't remember it being a CG animated movie. It is cell shade, or cell, what is the cell rendered? I can't remember. It looks like it's animated cells, but the way it moves is very obviously 3D, and it's pretty great. This looks like it is going to be very, very close to a frame for frame adaptation of the comic book, which is not what we got with the Zack Snyder movie, though that's a whole other argument unto itself, because I think the Zack Snyder movie made a good point unto itself as well in the way they changed the ending. So we'll see if they change the ending, and if they do, how they change the ending for this animated movie, but it looks like they're gonna not piss off the fans, maybe. It is DC though, so I don't know. Okay, so yeah, go watch that. It's going to be pretty great. We have no casting or anything like that. We have no release date aside from sometime this year for Chapter 1 and then sometime next year for Chapter 2. So yeah, from there, let's move into regular ass news. We have One Piece there. We have a new movie, or another remake, I guess, getting the update treatment, and that is Enemy Mine. It is a cult classic 80s movie that I honestly have very fond memories of watching from when I was a very young child. And I could honestly, until it came up in the research for this week, kind of forgot it existed. And I saw the poster for the movie and was like, oh yeah, this was a thing that I watched probably half a dozen times before I was the age of 13 and loved it every time from what I remember, but I don't remember much from that time. Anyway, it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. We have Terry Matalas, who was the showrunner for Picard Season 3. He is attached to be writing and producing. There is no director, there is no other production staff associated with this just yet, but we do know at least it is in the works, and I'm kind of excited for it. That is everything for movies this week, except for your suggestion, the thing that you must go out and partake in, and that is Logan. What with, Deadpool and Wolverine on the horizon, go watch Logan. Remember what a good Wolverine movie is, because that's kind of the only one we got. So, Logan, fantastic movie. Just it's the end. And that is made painfully obvious over and over and over throughout that movie, and it's just so tragic and amazing all at the same time. Logan is absolutely worth your time. That is your suggestion for the week.
Maybe. It's classified.
So this week's Rumor Mill, we have Wonder Woman getting canceled, which is interesting. Spider-Man 2099 potentially joining the MCU's 616 universe. There's that. Plus, we have new rumors around the Jordan Peele and Marvel situation. So let's talk about that, shall we? So first up, we have no confirmations or refutations. We do have a new source for an old rumor, and this is kind of almost at the point of confirmation, but we can't, it's a leak, so like you can't really 100%, they could change anything before it actually happens. But what am I talking about? Mortal Kombat 1, we have leaked audio from the upcoming release of the Molina announcer voice saying the name Ghostface. So that is almost 100% confirmation at this point that we will be getting Ghostface in the next DLC pack. Is it going to be Combat Pack 2? Is it going to be the story DLC? All of that stuff remains to be seen. But at some point in the not too distant future, we will be seeing Ghostface as a guest character in Mortal Kombat 1. So there you go. No numbers for the new sources, just for new rumors. So let's get to those. First up on new rumors, we have Spider-Man 2099. Miguel O'Hara is rumored to be joining the MCU. And honestly, the rumor goes so far as to say it almost has already happened. Miguel O'Hara version of Spider-Man was supposedly going to be teaming up with Kang the Conqueror, but then the whole Jonathan Majors situation went down, and they had to kind of pivot really fast and really hard away from doing too much with Kang. And now there's a whole bunch of new rumors, or a whole bunch of rumors that kind of sprung from that as far as Kang is concerned. But this is the only thing that has come from the Miguel O'Hara situation, in that apparently, according to the rumor, he is still slated to be headed to the MCU proper at some point. There is very little to support this rumor, and what is there is very weak. So we're going to say 35% likely that we will be seeing Miguel O'Hara in the MCU ever, honestly. I would be very surprised to see him in anything other than the Spider-Verse movies, because he is kind of an obscure character as far as normies are concerned, and they're the ones who generally go watch the movies. Yes, we watch them over and over and over again, but there are many more of them than there are of us. So yeah, I don't think that that's a thing that they're going to be getting into anytime soon. The next rumor that we have on this one is Wonder Woman game that we actually covered in the gaming section, I believe at least once here in the rumor mill as well, has now rumored to have been canceled. Monolith Games is one of the ones that is potentially going to be shuttered, and so if you are going to be shuttering the game studio, then that means you're going to be canceling the game. This one seems very likely. Yeah, we're looking at 80% like. Just the source is good on this one. The information makes logical sense. There is every reason to believe if you had your hopes for this Wonder Woman game, they've probably been shut down. Sorry, but that is the way it is. And then our next rumor is Jordan Peele. We talked previously about the fact that Jordan Peele did, in fact, go talk to Marvel, and then there was rumors about what exactly he was talking to Marvel for. So this is kind of a different version of those other rumors. So it's still technically a new rumor, and it also goes a little bit further than those other rumors. So we're going to split this into two pieces, this one. The first rumor is that he was in talks with Marvel to write and direct the next X-Men movie. And then the second half of this is that it actually fell through and he's not doing it anymore. So there's no way we can confirm or deny exactly what he talked to Marvel about. The only people who know that are him and the people in the room when he was talking to Marvel. So yeah, that's never going to be a thing that we can confirm one way or the other. So we're going to have to split the difference, say about 50% likely that he was in talks to write and direct the X-Men movie. The other side of this, though, is that it fell through and he is not, in fact, going to be working with Marvel in the near future at all. And this one seems a little bit more likely for the reasons I laid out in the last time we talked about this, because Jordan Peele is Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele is not, and this is going to come off as a slight, and I guess it kind of is, to the other directors who have worked with Marvel. Jordan Peele is not the kind of director that just is pliable by the production house. Just because people have money, they don't really, he does his own thing. He doesn't do what they want him to do. And that's kind of one of the reasons why he's as good as he is. So the likelihood that this fell through, we're going to say 65%. Again, it's not the best source necessarily, but I mean, the logic is there, and I'm sure there will be much more evidence in the near future supporting this, but I'm not as sure as I would like to be. So that's why we're only going with 65%. So that is what we got this week. No speculation to speak of. That is just the end of the rumor mill. So thank you, nerds, for sticking around to the end. We have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. This week in housekeeping, I'm going to lay out the fact that just happened is 2 weeks behind. So we're not going to be doing another one that's just going to sit on the hard drive somewhere for another month until I can get it edited. I'm just going to get the last 2 episodes edited and up, and then we're going to do an all-encompassing that just happened going forward, and we're going to change the format for the shout-out show ever so slightly. I guess more appropriately, we're going to change the release schedule for the shout-out show. Instead of trying to do 3 weekly big-ass shows, I'm going to be doing 2 weekly, hopefully not as big-ass shows. I mean, this show is always going to be huge. I've tried shortening it in the past, and it always just stays right about an hour long or more. So unfortunately, that is what it is. But I don't have to do that with the That Just Happened stuff. So That Just Happened is gonna be a little bit more focused going forward. And the shout out show is going from once a week goal to once a month, slightly more doable goal. So yeah, the shout-out show is going to just be a little bit of a bear, and it's going to take me a month to edit it, but it seems that I can get that work done over that amount of time. So that's kind of where we're at with the shout-out show. So I apologize, it's going to take a little bit longer to get to shout-outs for all of you wonderful, wonderful nerds who are following and subscribing and joining in the conversation down in the comment section or on the live shows when they happen. That is everything that we have this week for the news, though. Thank you very much, nerds, for joining. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, follow, do the things. I appreciate your faces, nerds. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.